Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 392 of the Armchair Fantasy Show. I am not Jeff Lambert. I am Tim Strobel. Jeff Lambert called in sick tonight, but we are still here to break down DFS for the Week's 3 slate. I'm here as always with Gerson Aguirre. How you doing tonight, G?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. I'm doing a lot better than Jeff. My name is Jeff. I had the cough. Poor guy.
We hope our fearless leader does get back to health. It's not the same show without you, Jeff. That's for sure. So I don't have any of the drops tonight, right? There will be Gerson. You can do all the drops for me if you want. But let's just start off with the weekly rewind. So Gerson, one good, one bad for you last week.
Any Rams was my bad. I was really high on the Rams, but I should have taken a better look into the offensive line. It was atrocious. I mean, I think they were graded the worst line in the history of PFF grade. They were like 29.1 last week, so that's pretty bad. But my best with hold on, my laptop just went out, and damn it happens every week, I swear. Well, my best was the combination of Charbonnet, Dobbins, and Mason. I said, If you play those three guys, you can build a stud roster. And I tried to jam those guys in a lot of my 3-max entrance, and it worked out pretty well. I had a pretty good week on single entrance and 3-max. Unfortunately, my power sweep didn't work out very well. I went a different route. I don't know why. I was kicking myself in the butt pretty hard. And but yeah, those were my one good, one bad. But seriously, last week I just felt I'm gonna stop doing this last minute pivot. I think those things we have to believe in our research, and we have to believe in our I would say gut feeling, but I eat a lot of different crap, like a lot of different food. So yeah.
I had a same kind of thing. Once again, my best play on the week was a defense, the Chargers defense. I had a lot of Dobbins and Chargers defense last week. Those were usually my best lineups. I had a couple Baker stacks and Lion stacks, but the bad one for me was obviously Cooper Kupp, right? He was my most exposed player last week, got hurt after basically a nothing. So yeah, it was a tough week for me. I had a couple of lineups cash, but overall it was rough. I do want to give a couple. Jeff here did give his one good, one bad. He said his one good was playing Brian Robinson, a pivot off some of the chalkier running backs, but unfortunately he also played Terry McLaurin. So that was not. Yeah, Terry McLaurin. Jeff said is now on his shit list. He will not be playing Terry McLaurin anymore this year. And honestly, I don't blame you, bro. He couldn't do it against the Giants. When can you do it? And I want to give a shout out to John Hesterman, who was on the show last week. He made the joke about, Daniel Jones was in the Millie Maker lineup week 2 last year. Watch Daniel Jones be in the Millie Maker lineup again this week. And he was, right? If you played, I can't believe I'm saying this, but if you played Daniel Jones last week, you probably won money because you got onto some.
You had to stack them with Malik Neighbor.
Right. But I figured you probably would. But that build left you to do some different things last week. So, if you did that, man, you were probably successful. So, kind of a mixed week, but we're ready to roll into week 3. Let's talk quarterback.
I love it.
You're welcome. All right, G, I'm going to take it over to you first for the first quarterback.
Okay, so first quarterback is Kyler Murray. It's just the game environment he's going to be involved in. I just love, honestly, I am his number one fan when it comes to the jokes that they give him all the time. Where they're like, this is Marvin Harrison and Kyler Murray are going to be a great duo. And he's like down here at the bottom, and Marvin Harrison's up there. I love those things. The biggest thing I think about Kyler Murray, people don't realize how great of a quarterback he is by fantasy point per dropback. It's one of the biggest things, but he's also he's a canonical quarterback. And we haven't really seen his upside for the passing game. And we saw it last week, right? Like, we haven't seen the full arsenal. And when I say the full arsenal, you can get Greg Dortch, light the torch for Greg Dortch, Michael Wilson, Marvin Harrison, Trey McBride. I mean, this game, I believe the total is up to 51 points, right?
Yes, 51 and a half.
Yeah, 51 and a half. And guys,
I think Kyler Murray leads the league currently in EPA per play, which just sounds wild, right? But yeah, I love that Murray play. Like you said, best game environment of the week. You beat the Lions through the air, and they do give up some yards on the ground, right? They play a lot of man, which usually is advantageous for running quarterbacks. You know what? I'm not going to take the other guy. I originally had Brock Purdy, but I'm taking him off my list now that it looks like George Kittle is not going to play. So, Gerson, go ahead and take the other guy you had.
All right. Can you name him? Because my laptop's still not starting. I don't know which one you want me to go on my list.
No, Dak Prescott.
Okay, so yeah, Dak. Dak Prescott versus in this game environment, I'm going to have – this is the game I'm targeting this week. I am targeting this game heavily. I think it's going under-owned. All the other games are going a little higher owned. If you go look at the ownership for all the players here, it's like 10%. Dak Prescott, to me, he's going to pass the ball. If he passes the ball, CeeDee Lamb's going to get his point, you know? This whole Rico Dowdle, Ezekiel Elliott thing, it's like Mean Girl. Stop. It's not going to happen, you know? It's not going to happen, you know? So stop trying to make it a thing. The Cowboys are obviously, this game's going to be very competitive. The Ravens have allowed, they're the second worst pass defense right now, basically. It's kind of weird, right? Like, and
Gardner Minshew was kind of tearing him up last week.
Yeah. And the big thing is this game has a lot of implication to it. I know it's only week 3, but here's the way I put it. If the Cowboys lose again, it'll be their second home loss back-to-back after they won, I think, 17 games in a row at home.
At home. Yeah.
And then if the Ravens lose, they will be 0-3. This is a team that had Super Bowl contention on it, you know? 100%. So this is going to be a big game. I love the environment. I think Lamar, Jay Flower, and dude, Mark Andrews, his price is ridiculous. But I'll get some more on that later. I just like this game environment. You can stack it up. And it's going to be I think it's going to be that game where nobody's like paying too much attention to it, and it could win the Middle America.
Yeah, I think Dak will definitely be under-owned, and I agree with you. I mean, this is a must-win game for both teams, but usually in those situations is when we see the Cowboys tend to put up points. But the shocking thing to me is just the Ravens defense has been so bad, and I just don't know what happened. They really built that team to run the ball and play defense, and they've had to get into 2 shootouts now in a row. So I like that.
I'll tell you what happened. They have a new defensive coordinator, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's it.
Same thing that happened to the Cowboys, right? They brought in Mike Zimmer, worst defensive coordinator outside of maybe Wade Phillips in the last decade. So moving on to salary savers, I'll take Derek Carr. To me, I'm going to keep riding this, right? Who dat? We on the who dat train until it stops, man. Philly, talk about another defense that just hasn't been who we thought they were, but they've been one of the worst pass defenses, at least for the last couple of years. And that has continued this year. They give up like 10% over expectation in terms of fantasy points to wide receivers. So I'll be playing a lot of Derek Carr stacks this weekend. Who else do you like on the salary saver side, Gerson?
Okay, this one's going to make you throw up a little bit, okay? And I'm giving you guys a warning. If you're eating, stop chewing. Caleb Williams. If you look at his salary and then you look at some of the wide receiver pricing he has, don't play the tight end. No, don't play the tight end. But his salary in this matchup, I'm going to take a shot. This is straight GPP. Don't play it in cash game. This is straight GPP. I don't believe that they're as bad as people make them out to be right now.
Yeah.
The reason why, if you look at their first 3 opponents, they're all been stout defense. The Texans, the Titans, right?
Yeah.
Well, their first 2 opponents. The Texans and the Titans, they're very underrated defense. I think the Texans are a top 10 defense, and the Houston and the Titans are a top 10 defense too. I just like people, they see the name, they're like, oh, all right. But I know Jared's probably going to come in here right now and say Caleb L. Loser William, but in reality, this is the 101. And if they give them time to pass the ball, which I think in this game environment, the pass rush is not going to be as strong as those first two opponents. I'm just going straight GPP, and I'm trying to save some salary. Then probably I'm not doing a 2 for 1-2. I'm just doing a 1-1, stack, and then bring it back. But it's just so this is Indianapolis Colts, right? They're facing. Yeah. Okay, so the Colts right now are just decimated with injury. DeForest Buckner placed on IR. He's their best defensive player. They're allowing the most. Basically, they're bottom 10 defense on pass. Yeah. And then on top of that, Anthony Richardson is playing so ridiculously bad that it comes to a point where it's either if he makes it a game, he makes it a game. But if not, Caleb Williams is going to go away with it. And I'm going to have a lot of Caleb Williams, but not a lot, but you know what I mean, GPP.
Yeah, I like that call. I definitely think the Colts can be got, right? I don't think they're a good defense by any means. All right. Anyone else we want to cover before we move on to tight ends?
No. And yes, Derek Carr is going to be very highly owned. So go for Derek Carr.
All right. I will. This one actually talk about making you want to throw up. I did have this guy on my sheet, and that's Sam Darnold. I actually he came up really well in terms of points per dollar for me. I'm really shocked kind of how well he's played in Minnesota. And I think that they get a matchup against the Texans. Texans are bottom 10 against quarterbacks, right? You cannot run against the Texans defense like you just said. So Sam Darnold's going to have to play. Justin Jefferson's going to play in this game. I like the Vikings' chances here. I really do. So if you're looking for a punt option, for whatever reason you can't find 300 or you want to pivot off Chalky Carr, I like Sam Darnold, which I cannot believe just came out of my mouth. All right, tight ends, Gerson. Go ahead and take the first tight end.
So I already mentioned Kyler Murray. I'm going to go to the tight end, obviously. Trey McBride against the Lions, like we said. You want to attack him through the air. They do have a guy named Kirby who's pretty good at covering defense tight end sometimes. But I think with Marvin Harrison over the top, he's going to keep him pretty busy. So I think McBride, he's 6,000, right, I believe? 6,000?
6,200.
Oh, 6,200. You're going to stack him with Kyler, probably bring it back with one of the Lions guys. This game environment, it's one of the games that everybody's going to target. McBride's a beast. He gets so much usage, so much target. And in this game, they're going to be playing back and forth. I do have to say this, though. The Cardinals' pass rush has gone a lot better. Yeah. So they could generate some pass rush on, what's his name, Goff. And we'll see how this game goes. For me, you really want to condense the target tree for Marvin Harrison and Trey McBride with Kyler Murray. That's as condensed as you can get. And trust me, that price is not going to stay down. It's going to go up.
No, I agree. And I think the big news of the day, at least for me, other than the running back news we'll get to later, was George Kittle, right? Doubtful in this game. Kittle was one of my favorite plays on the slate. He's always done traditionally really well when Debo has been out. He also was a good schematic fit this week. So with George Kittle out, for me, I don't have the drop, but imagine I'm playing the drop. Lock it in. I cannot, again, first of all, Sam Darnold came out of my mouth, and now I'm recommending a Raider. What is going on in 2024? But Brock Bowers, dude, he is the real deal. And, leading the NFL in receptions and receiving yards for tight ends. This dude, I read he is the number one, not Travis Kelce, Sam Laporta, Trey McBride. Brock Bowers is number one in terms of first read target share at tight ends. That is shocking to me. This guy is everything they expected. And we've said this for years, Gerson. Tight end targets are a QB stat, right? If your QB targets the tight end like Gardner Minshew does, it's going to be the same from game to game, right? And we expect this to be a game where they're going to be passing against Carolina. I don't think, we'll talk about this later, that this is going to be just purely running the ball. I do think there's going to be a little Minshew mania in this game, and it's going to mostly come via Brock. Mostly come through Brock Bowers. So there's value this week for you to be able to pay up at tight end. And I think with the lack of other clear options in the mid-range, I'm going to be playing Brock Bowers.
So to add to that, I'm going to say this. Brock Bowers was like basically a phenomenal athlete, everything. But I've watched his tape of the last 2 games, and his stats, like his playing on the field is like he's been in the league like 10 years. There was a ridiculous route he did against the Ravens where he ran a cross, and then the Roquan Smith was following him, and he went back the other way, and Roquan Smith lost him. But I love that call.
No, dude, definitely, like you said, he runs routes like a veteran. He knows how to find the holes in the zones already. If he sees that one-on-one matchup with a linebacker, he's ready to take it upfield. The thing that shocked me was he also has the most targets, 20-plus yards down the field. So they're not just using him for those short checkdowns, right? They're actually targeting him down the field, almost in a Kelsey-ish role of old.
Incredible.
So, last year, the number tight end one was Sam Laporta. He was a rookie. It's very possible that we see another rookie take over that top spot. So who else do you like at tight end, if anyone, Gerson?
So I will say this week. This week seems like the week to pay for tight end. You don't want to get too cute. But if there's a guy that you're not going to pay for, but he should be like, we always consider him an elite tight end, right? So in that game environment of the Cowboys and Ravens, I'm going back with Mark Andrews as my number one option. Ownership should be low. Price is 4.8K. You're probably going to pay up for CeeDee Lamb, obviously, on the other side. So you're going to need some salary relief. This week, though, I'm telling you guys, don't try to get cute with it. These tight ends at the top are probably the best plays of the week. We always try to throw in those cheap dark plays. I don't know about you, Tim, but I got burnt by Theo Johnson 0 points last week. And then the week before that, I got burnt by another tight end. I think I'm tired of doing that. I'm the biggest believer in save money at tight end, paying down. But I'm starting to notice that the NFL is going to those cover two, and they're shutting down a lot of tight ends now.
Yep. No, you're exactly right. Like, you have to take the guys that are getting consistent target volume, because it's just so much harder to try and punt at one of those guys and hope he gets 4 or 5 targets like they used to. So I completely agree. I did have Jake Ferguson on my list just because he's expected to be back this week for the Cowboys. He's a little underpriced at $4,500 coming off the injury. Some of my local Cowboys buddies tell me that he will be splitting snaps, but it'll probably be 70 or 80%. So, yeah, man, I think at $4,500, nobody's going to be on him. But you're right. With Andrews at $4,800, I think I'd just rather go that route as well.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I will say, though, that I did play Luke Schoonmaker last week.
That was awesome.
And that actually did work out for me. Yeah, that was my best lineup had Schoonmaker in it. I don't know how that worked out, but.
Dude, and the funny thing, he was like a top 3 scorer, basically.
Yes.
Like,
the tight end is just so trash right now, dude.
Oh, no. I think I read something like Isaiah Likely is still like the top 3 tight ends after only putting like 3 points last week. And that's crazy, like it's trash, man.
Yeah. He currently leads the position in fantasy points. Absolutely ridiculous. All right, moving on to running back. Running back. Yes, I'll take this one because I want to talk about Alvin Kamara. That week last week was absolutely insane. He took full advantage of that Mike Zimmer defense. But my question for you, Gerson, is does he do it again this week versus Philly? Because Eagles very enticing there at 7,500. Do you expect him to be a core play for you this week?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Bijan Robinson against the Eagles should have had like 200 yards. He was averaging like 6 yards a carry. He was just running all over them. This Eagles defense is trash, dude. Like, they went out and bought all these players, drafted all these first rounders. Everybody called Howie Roseman. Is that his name?
Yes.
Or whatever. They called him a genius, traded up for Jalen Carter, or got Jalen Carter, Dude, I don't know what's going on out there, but Nick Sirianni, man, you need to get your shit together. You're going to get canned in 3 weeks, dude. But I love that call. Kamara, I mean, he's going to be the highest owned running back, right?
He will. Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think I have to decide this week whether or not I want to pivot off him. But like you said there, Eagles defense 29th in total EPA per play, 31st at running back. I mean, against what running backs? That's just wild to me. They used to be a very obvious pass funnel. Now they're just an overall bad defense. So I agree. I think Kamara is a core play this week. Who else is a core play for you at running back this week?
This week for me, like Kamara is gonna be shock. Obviously, it's a great try, but we're going back to the drawing board. Let's not get cute with it. Jordan Mason at 6.2K is going to be the highest owned running back.
Yeah.
6.2K for a guy that just got, I believe, 28 opportunity.
Yep.
I'm going right back to him. They're going to do the same thing. No Kittle, no Debo.
Yeah.
They're going to roll out Jawan Jennings. They're going to roll out, I don't even know who's on. I think it's Logan Thomas, the backup tight end.
Yeah, I don't know. Chris Conley will be out there. He's basically a tight end at this point.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to go out there and they're going to – Shanahan, he's going to go to his best player, you know?
Yeah.
He's not going to get crazy. His best players out there right now are Ayuk, Jordan Mason, and Brock Purdy, whatever he can make work, you know? And honestly, Brock Purdy right now is put up or shut up. You want that contract? Sure. Show us right now, you know? Jordan Mason, 6.2K. Next week, I guarantee you he's going to be like 7.3K, 7.4K, you know?
DraftKings just gave us all a discount for one extra week, right? Like, can we have another 50% owned running back in the Millie Maker? I feel like that's going to be the go-to chalk combo. If there's one other guy that also I think will be very popular in that same mix is Devon Achane with Mostert out. I think Jared Good in the chat. What up, Yeti? No Geoff tonight. He's out sick. Scott's in the chat too. What up, Scott?
Joe.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I saw Joe. Yeah. I gotta play Achane. I don't care that Miami's, an underdog. I don't care that it's Skylar or fucking Thompson that they're rolling out at quarterback. This dude is absolutely electric. Last week, dude, he was like, going into that game, people were like, oh man, are they even going to give him the ball? Is this going to be the Jeff Wilson show? And it was very clearly the Devon Achane show. And I don't expect that to change. His target volume is insane. Basically, you're getting a wide receiver target volume who's also probably going to get 10 to 12 touches on the ground. Seattle, their run defense isn't, great. Yeah. So, that part of it, little concerning, but I think I'm going to have a lot of Achane.
The other thing is this is a small sample, but Thompson's career running target rate is 27%. So even if they're playing, let's say they're playing from behind, which I think they will be playing from behind this week because the Seahawks will score on them, is higher than any week one NFL starter and plus 42% higher than Tua. So you're getting a quarterback that's going to replace Tua, and he loves to target Achane. And the other thing is he already ties the lead in 14 target. Yep. So give me all the Achane I can, and you'll get a lower ownership on him,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I see him on RG as the second highest owned guy at this point, but I'm sure that will change by Sunday. Shout out to Jared. Glad to hear that appointment went well, sir.
Good job, dude.
Good job, dude. So I do want to real quick talk about the running back on the other side of that game, Zach Charbonnet. We were actually talking about him right before the show because I think he's one of the toughest plays for me this week. We'll talk about, obviously, the value guy here in a second, but going into today, I think I think Kamara and Mason are what most people are going to start their lineups with, but are you going to play that third running back? I think for a lot of people, it was going to be Charbonnet, right? But, with the option that unlocked today, I don't know that he's as good of a play. So what do you think? What are your thoughts on Zach Charbonnet this week?
So to me, it's this. I've always said the NFL is going back to what happened?
Nothing. Keep going.
The NFL is going back to running back by committee. So any chance that you get a bell cow running back at this price, $6,000 on DraftKings, you're gonna take it. I mean, we're paying for Jordan Mason, bell cow running back. You're gonna get Zach Charbonnet. Well, he only got his point by the touchdown and kind of like bullcrap stats last week. They're a a 5.5 favorite against Skylar Thompson. So if that defense gets ahead, they're going to run the ball. So I love that call, Zach Charbonnet, man.
Yeah, I don't know, man. You have one other guy on your list before we move on to the values, but I do want to give a shout out to Jared in the chat. What Rams player have we talked about yet? No Rams players. I don't know that I'm playing any Rams this week if I can help it, but we'll talk about that later. Go ahead, G.
Oh, Jared, always with the sense of humor. So Saquon Barkley, man, he hasn't been mentioned at all anywhere. I've listened to podcasts, I've watched videos. Like, just because this guy missed a catch on Monday Night Football, all of a sudden he's a bad football player. Shoot, man. If you want to pivot away from the higher guys like Ashan, what's his name, Kamara,
Yeah.
and well, Jordan Mason's not high price, but go to Saquon. The Eagles, they're gonna be in that game. They're gonna have to play catch up, or if their defense is that bad, they're gonna play catch up, and they're gonna work it through Saquon Barkley and Devontae Smith. Dude, that talk about a target being condensed, man. Yeah. Goddard, Barkley, and Devontae Smith is all I swear I saw. And then this white boy from Utah named Kobe. Represent Utah University. But yeah, man. Give me Saquon. Again, it's more about the game environment. It's not really too much about the matchup. It's more just like he's gonna have to get involved and have a lot of usage. And by the way, Giants, yes, you did fuck up. Oops, sorry, Jeff.
Yeah, I love the way that they've been. What's up, man? I love the way that they've been utilizing Saquon this year. Obviously, that drop was huge, but he's in a great spot, and he's clearly still got the juice, right? New Orleans Saints do have a pretty good run defense, but that, like you said, the condensed target volume is going to be insane for him. So I definitely think he is in play. Madison or Justice Hill for GPP, man. I don't know. Justice Hill, just because the Cowboys are so bad against running back receptions. Like he could take a 7-yard screen pass or whatever to the house against the Cowboys, just like it's entirely possible. So I don't know. I don't see any real upset in Madison. So if you're saying for a GPP, I'd rather take a shot on Justice Hill, but I don't think you need to do that this week. Not me personally. What about you, G?
I almost think he's talking like, so he did say GPP. I thought he was talking about fantasy football. Jesus.
No, it's not season long. That looks like a season long question. I agree.
Yeah. Hey, boss, I'm just going to do you a favor and tell you not to play either one, to be honest. But if I had to choose one, I'm going to go Justice Hill just for the PPR upside on DraftKings. I don't know what side you're on. And to be honest, I do believe I understand the whole Madison hype, but trust me, this week is not the Madison week.
Yeah. I did not have this guy on my list. I don't show that you did either. But Brian shouted out J.K. Dobbins in the chat. I'm just going to keep riding that train again until it falls off, man. Every week we're like, he can't keep doing this. And I feel like he just keeps doing this 2 weeks in a row. I don't know if that stops this week in Pittsburgh. But he's not going to have the ownership this week because there's a lot of other really good running back plays. Like
I just think the matchup is tough, man. That matchup is tough.
Yep.
Man. And that game total, isn't that like the lowest game total of the week?
It is.
Talk about like two coaches saying, yeah, and I can imagine both coaches bending over Harbaugh and Tomlin and saying, yeah, dude, my running game's better than your running game, That's where this game's going to go, man. And I don't know, is Herbert playing?
I don't know.
Yeah, but we'll see.
Well, I was going to say, I think that they're certainly concerned about it because the game total has come down 8 points. In Vegas, that's shocking, right? The total opened at 42.5. It's down to 34.5. So they're certainly thinking if he does play, he's not going to be 100%. I don't know about. I agree. I like him, but I don't know that I'll have a ton of exposure. I'll tell you what guy I like for a big bounce back spot this week is DeAndre Swift. You talked about the Colts defense. They have the Cowboys are technically the worst, but I feel like in terms of yards per carry, it's the Colts. Like 2 weeks in a row, they have gotten absolutely gashed And I feel like that's what they're going to do this week is they're just going to lean on that running game, right? Like, sure, Caleb Williams can have a great game, and it's entirely possible. But I think this is the week they try and get Swift going. Like you mentioned, Buckner's out. They will throw it to him as well. So I think this is going to be a heavy Swift week, right? I think he's going to be very underowned. I'm looking at the list here. He's not on the first page of running backs in terms of ownership. Like we're talking 2% ownership for a guy that I think has that 25-point upside that you need in a GPP, and nobody will be on him. So he's probably my sneaky, like kind of under the radar play this week.
I like it, man.
All right, who else do you like at running back this week? I know you're going to talk about that top guy.
All right, guys. Just made me puke a little bit. But Cam Akers, man. Okay, so Damian Pierce is out. He's not important, but Joe Mixon being out is important. I don't even know if they confirmed that he's out, but I'm pretty sure he's not playing.
He's not.
Yeah, so with those two guys out, Cam Akers, it's funny because I love the answer he gave. They asked him, well, with the injuries on the team, Cam, are you ready to step in for the running back one row? And he goes, I'm not ready. I'm always ready. I'm ready. I always stay ready. I'm like, talk about a mentality, man. Cam Akers played against the Vikings too, so revenge game, But I hate that term though. But to me, Akers is 4,700. That's all I care. I don't care. Like if he gives me 13, 14 points, I'm all for it. And right now, in a lot of projections, I see him almost projected for 15 points. If he gets 15 points, that's 3 times X. That's GPP 3X. But really, nowadays, we're aiming for 3.5X. So, I mean,
my question on Cam Akers is, can he give you 20 plus? Right? Because at that value, I'm looking for close to 20.
I think it's going to be all on can CJ Stroud move the ball well enough against that Minnesota Vikings? Because that Minnesota Vikings defense is very underrated. Brian Flores is he's a psychopath when it comes to belittling people, but he's also a psychopath on defense. The look that he gives you, everything is very interesting. But I think D'Amico, whatever his name is, Ryan will adjust to it along with his staff. But let's say I'm just hoping that Stroud moves the ball well enough to get them in the red zone and get them at the goal line. We'll see. This game should be a good game, but again, I'm doing it more for the salary savings.
Yeah, I agree. He's somebody that I feel like it's a trap spot. Like he could absolutely give you 8.5 points, and then he's just an absolute dead spot in your lineup. But I agree. I mean, he could absolutely give you a 20 as well. And then if you don't have him, particularly in cash, then you're kind of dead. But I told you pre-show, I have a lineup I really like. I built it earlier. I think it was last night. And it's going to be really hard for me to come off of it for Cam Akers. But I may end up – we'll see how ownership gets by Sunday. I may just have to take the block and move on. I do want to talk about the other two guys you have on your list, and I'll take Tony Pollard first. It has now become a weekly staple on this show for me to make fun of the Swiss cheese-ass defense we call the Green Bay Packers. Every week, right? Last week, Jonathan Taylor was like, why are they not getting me the ball enough against this Green Bay Packers team? He had 18 points on, 14 touches or something. It was insane. But this is going to be, I think this is going to be Tony Pollard's week to kind of break out. Man, I think everybody's going to be looking elsewhere, and it's going to be Tony Pollard week. His volume is right in there with, he's splitting snaps with Tyjae Spears, but his volume is still incredible. He's close to 20 touches a game. So at 6K, that's really what we're looking for.
Yeah.
It's got a good matchup. I think it's, Jordan Love, probably may play. I don't really know, but I don't think it matters, right? I think the Titans' game plan here is to run the ball and play defense, right? They realize, hey, we actually have a decent defense. We're going to try and roll this out. So I expect him to see at least 15 plus touches, right? And at 6K, I think that makes him a really good play.
And don't forget, his coach hates the quarterback.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, they want to keep the ball out of Will Levis's hands just as much as possible. So I think it was encouraging that he saw 67% of the snaps last week. He's clearly going to be their go-to guy. Go ahead and touch on that last guy you had on your list.
So I'm not saying this because I'm being biased or anything. I am a Raiders fan, full disclaimer, but I'm going to Zamir White, man. If there's a Zamir White game, it has to be this game. I mean, his price, 5,700, I believe. Am I right? It's 5,500.
That might be 5,500. Yeah.
5,500 versus the Carolina Panthers. No, I don't care that the PB rifle or whatever his name, Pee Wee rifle is the quarterback. The Raiders' defense is a lot more stout than people think. That whole game against the Ravens, they were putting up a battle. And really, in reality, the reason why they allowed points wasn't exactly because it was more of Minshew putting them in bad field position.
Yeah.
And this defense is going to get after that Carolina Panthers offense. They're going to create turnover. And Zamir White, you've had really two shitty games. But when they asked Antonio Pierce about him, he said he's a guy that's going to get 20 touches a game. That's what I believe in. You know, he backed them up. And I believe Antonio Pierce is one of those coaches. When he speaks, he tells the truth on it. Like, he's not going to, beat around the bush. He is a bonehead coach. I'm still mad about week 1. So, yeah. But still, the Zamir White, 5.5K salary saver against the Carolina Panthers. They're going to be up. So once they start going up, they're going to just run the ball. So I'm gonna have him as my relief saver. And I love the Tony Pollard call. And that's not Joe Mixon. That's supposed to be Cam Akers on my sheet.
Yeah, I knew what you meant. Joe Mixon out, Cam Akers in, or at least it looks that way now. All right, I think we touched on all the running backs. Just for Jared's sake, I'm going to throw out Kyren Williams. Don't play Kyren Williams. But I think there's actually a lot of good running back plays this week.
Yeah,
that's going to be the toughest. But speaking of, I definitely think it's a 3 running back week in cash.
Yeah,
if you
I agree.
Play cash, I think you're playing 3 running backs. And it's probably going to be Kamara, Mason, and Akers, at least as of right now for me. All right. Time for everybody's favorite segment, wide receiver. All right. And who you want to start with today, G?
So I'm going to go. Let me go with Nico Collins. I'm going to go with Nico Collins.
Yeah.
So I believe Nico Collins is one of the most underrated players in the NFL.
100%.
This guy is a stud. Out of Michigan, his peripheral stats for his combine were pretty great. He was just drafted not in the first or second round. Okay, but when he came out of Michigan, he had all the intangibles. He's putting it all together now. Last year we saw a glimpse of it. Of course, we saw a lot of glimpses of it against the Indianapolis Colts.
Yes.
This year we're seeing it again with 2 alpha wide receivers. One of them might be really small, but the other one is Stephon Diggs, and he's a diva. So Nico Collins, 7.3K. Don't look now, but Nico Collins will touch the 9K range this year. I put my money on it. This guy with Stroud, they are connecting on almost everything. This matchup, Minnesota, I just think Jefferson and Nico Collins are going to put on a show this weekend, and it's going to be fun to watch. Stephon Diggs, you're an afterthought. Nobody cares about you anymore, dude. Like, you're just a diva now. But I love the matchup. I think Stephon Diggs will draw the better matchup, but then Nico will just draw the, what do you say? Talking crap, dude.
No, you said wide receiver.
Yeah, it's hilarious. We're doing awesome on the voice call, man.
I'm trying.
No, you're awesome, Tim. So give me Nico, 7.3K. He's gonna get target. He's getting hell targets too. Like, they're going after him on third down, 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2. And he's getting those big plays. To me, Nico should be talked about in the top 5 wide receivers. That's how high I am on him this year. I honestly think Nico can be that superstar wide receiver with CJ Stroud. They just brought in Stephon Diggs for 1 year. Okay, you're a rental, Diggs.
Yeah, I feel like they brought him in as a locker room guy, but people thought like he was just going to take away that number one job and Nico was just going to fade away. Like that was never going to happen. And like you mentioned, who does a quarterback look for when he's scrambling? Stroud's looking for Nico every time, right? And I think that says so much about his faith in him, his trust in his route running, the connection they have. I agree. This is a guy that's a $8,000 receiver that's 7,300. I guess I will take one of the chalk plays. I will start with Devontae Smith. You talked about him earlier. I know, shocking, right? You talked about him earlier. You know, he's kind of I think he's going to be one of the, again, chalkier plays this week with no A.J. Brown. I mentioned earlier I'm a little concerned about Saquon, but like you said it, the targets this week are going to be incredibly condensed for Jalen Hurts. We could see a 35+% target share for Devonta Smith at 6,900. Again, those are $8,000 wide receiver numbers. The only concern I have is that they basically just try and double him and take him out of the game. But they play him a lot in the slot. But last week, and that's what I was going to say, what concerns me a little bit is last week, Britton Covey, your boy, was in the slot like 80% of the time, and they were using Devonta Smith as a outside wide receiver. I don't think that's going to work against the Saints. I think they really need him to play the slot. So if he's lined up at the X, I'm going to be a little concerned. But yeah, hopefully they move him around. Who else you like this week?
Okay, so Devonta Smith is a great play for sure, Nico. But I'm going back to Chris Godwin, man. Mike Evans has the tougher matchup of the week. Yep. Chris Godwin has just been he went back to his original position, his slot wide receiver. Right. Yes. I mean, he's gonna be I like to call him slut wide receivers because they get all the catches. But Godwin killing it, man. Back to back 20+ point game. I mean, really, he doesn't even need a touchdown to produce. That's a bonus, Mike Evans will draw the harder matchup. Godwin in this game environment. I tell people this, like, this week is kind of condensed to what games you want to target, Correct. But that Tampa Bay side, I want a little bit of further to it with Godwin in that game. Broncos defense hasn't been as crappy as last year, shockingly. Yeah. But what's his name? Surtain will cover Mike Evans, right. And then Godwin will dominate the target from Baker. And I've been very, very impressed with Baker. I mean, some people say that he is not a top 32 quarterback. You're right, Jared. He is not a top 32 quarterback. He is a top 12 quarterback right now.
There you go.
But, just give me Godwin. Still cheap, 6.5K. And I'm going to say this week, you're probably going to want to live in that range of 6.5, 6.2. So, yeah. I mean, the other range we're going to talk about, you can also do those with 3 wide receivers.
Yep. Real quick, we have to talk about Brandon Ayuk, right? With Debo out, he's going to be probably the chalkiest wide receiver on the slate. At 6,200, he's just too damn cheap. And like we talked about, who else do the 49ers have, right? It's going to be the Jordan Mason and Brandon Ayuk show. He could see 14+ targets in this game, something crazy like that Jamar Chase game we saw last year. And we talked about the Rams defense is bad, right? They're bad. So I think, it could just be the Mason show, right? But I think that they're gonna get him plenty involved. But the guy I want to talk about, which is to me one of the stories of the season through 2 weeks, Jameson fucking Williams, dude. Like, this guy has emerged. And like last year, I get it. He was a rookie. He was still learning how to play in the NFL, right? He was out for 6 games or whatever, thanks to suspension. But this was somebody I was not high on in best ball. I don't have a lot of exposure to him. He is looking like the Lions' number 1 wide receiver, right?
Hey, take it easy. Take it easy.
It's looking that way, dude. It does. And he's number 1 on the Lions in terms of first read target share. And last year, that would have been crazy. Like, Sam Laporta is almost looking like a memory. But yeah, man, if you're 5,800 for the best game environment of the week for a guy who could easily see 10+ targets, like, I think Jammo is probably one of my favorite plays of the week. He's in that lineup I told you about earlier that I made that it's going to be hard for me to get away from. So Yeah, dude. I think those three guys, Smith, Ayuk, and Jamo, those are going to be my kind of core plays this week at wide receiver. We got one more guy on your list. Shout out to Jared in the chat. While we are here, is the target share a concern for Marvin Harrison Jr.?
No, it's only going to get higher. I mean, last week he could have had. So he had 2 touchdowns, right? Was it 2 touchdowns? He could have had 3 touchdowns.
Yep.
But Marvin, what's his name? Kyler missed him on one. And then the week 1, if you really look at week 1, he could have had a touchdown for sure. At the end of the game, he was wide open.
Yeah.
So he's basically waving down. I'm telling you, guys, Marvin Harrison's going to be talked about like in the range of like Justin Jefferson, CD Lamb, what's his name, Jamar. I wouldn't be shocked if he passed Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase hasn't been too hot in the last 2 years, but I'm not worried about his target share. He's going to get his.
Good. Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think, like I said, it's a great schematic matchup. I talked about this earlier in the show. The Lions play a lot of man defense, and I think that's where he showed last week. He will absolutely dominate.
So. That was beautiful too. Like, I just love the red zone. I don't know if you guys watch the red zone, but the red zone is my favorite thing. Like,
if you're not watching red zone, you're doing it wrong, I think.
Yeah, you're doing Sunday wrong. That's it. Unless you have 10 TVs and watching all the games, cool. Kudos to you. But yeah.
All right, it's time for second drop of the night. Lock it in. Go ahead, G.
Oh man, so I play Dynasty. Everybody knows that, and I just made a trade with Geoff right before the show. I traded for Rashod Shaheed, baby. I am a believer. You ever heard that song?
Of course.
But what's their name? I'm a believer. I don't know. Destiny Child or whatever. Yeah, dog. Put it, dude. So here's the biggest thing I'm telling people right now. The Saints offense, it's not that it came out of nowhere. It's the coaching staff.
100%.
Kubiak.
What? Coaching doesn't matter, Gerson. We're always told coaching doesn't matter.
Well, yeah, coaching doesn't matter, Jared. We're always told that, right? Kubiak. Because I'll tell you right now, Kubiak, Dennis Allen ain't the head coach there. Kubiak is. I forgot his first name. I think it's Cliff or Clink or something with a K. Yes. I don't fucking know, but anyways, Shaheed. Clint. Okay. So Shaheed. Oh, okay. So Rashod Shaheed right now, 5,300. He's getting 28.1 target per route through 2 weeks. Holds a ridiculous 77%. What the hell is Jared talking shit? Now I'm a believer. Oh my goodness. Shut up. Hey man, we're all child once. Leave me alone. You didn't like Destiny Child when you were little? Oh, come on, dude. It was hot. No, Rashod Shaheed. Clint Kubiak. Okay, yeah, you're right. Sorry, dog. But no, the biggest thing is they do a lot of motions now. The NFL is on the cover 2, and the way you beat that is by play action and cover and motion. And right now they're pre-snap motion. Right now they are top 3 in that, and they've done the research. Right now the teams that do that the most are teams like the Kansas City Chiefs. What's the Eagles are doing it now? And well, basically anywhere that the offensive coordinator goes. What's his name? I already forgot. But anyways, if you do that, the NFL has a hard time figuring it out. Through 2 games, they're obviously averaging 40+ points per game. But Shaheed to me, 5.3K, I can't wait. Like he's gonna be my lock it in guy, and I'm running the back with Devontae Williams, man. That's a good run back and forth, just 1 for 1.
Smith, you mean?
Devontae Smith, not Devontae Williams.
Yeah, that's a great secondary stack. I agree. Even if you're not going to, I'll tell you my favorite stat of the week, and this is almost unbelievable. Garrett, I don't know if you're out there watching us tonight. The craziest stat of the week is that there has not been a murder in New Orleans for 18 days, and they almost attribute all of it to the success of the New Orleans Saints. Like, let me just click Kubiak for fucking MVP, dude. You saved an entire fucking city. How is this even possible? But congratulations to Who Dat Nation. They're finally healing after all this time.
You know why Garrett. You know what Garrett is? He's still at the Cowboys Stadium cheering. Who that? He went to that game. That's the crazy thing.
I was so happy for him last week in Cowboys Stadium with the rest of Who Dat Nation getting to cheer on. That Cowboys fandom emptied out, and it just became Who Dat Stadium in Dallas. So congrats to Garrett. A couple guys that I had here just real quick. Tank Dell. I feel like this is the week schematically that he may actually get some use. He's been missed a couple times, particularly in week 1. But at 5,200, I think that he's going to be a pivot off of the chalkier Rashod Shaheed. And then since Jared wanted a Ram, the only Ram I'm even maybe considering is Demarcus Robinson at 5K. And even that makes me kind of uncomfortable because
we're cringing about that too.
We are. And here's the crazier part. I think both of us feel more comfortable about the guy who's at 4.9K, who's on your list. Go ahead.
Yeah. Hold on.
By the way, breaking news, everybody. I will be starting at quarterback this weekend for the Carolina Panthers. Woo! We did it.
True. First, we told him you got to do the show first, dude, before the Raiders beat you. You know.
I do.
So Deontay Johnson. Can anybody guess last year who was the quarterback that gave him the most target? Like last year when the Pee Wee rifle, to Adam Thielen. Last year, he had 19 targets.
He did.
When he became the quarterback. He went straight to his wide receiver 1. Who's the wide receiver 1 right now? It's Deontay Johnson.
It is.
So I know I just said Adam Thielen. Trust me, it's not going to be him. I know he's still on the team. He's going to Deontay Johnson. 4.9K. Raiders secondary has improved, but it hasn't improved to the point where I say it's not skeptical, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't
they're going to be throwing the whole time, right? Like we expect him to throw the ball 30, maybe even 40 plus times. So
and can I say this, because this might be my little rant of the whole day.
Sure.
But can I say this? How bad are you, David Tepper? Because right now, look at this. You failed on Bryce Young.
Correct.
You traded Baker Mayfield away. You got nothing for him, basically.
Yeah.
And then Sam Darnold went out and looked good with the Minnesota Vikings. Sure. You let him go. That's 3 quarterbacks that could have been starting for you this week. And now Bryce Young is going to look the biggest bust in the NFL history. I don't believe Bryce Young is as bad as people make him out to be. I just think he was put into a bad situation, bad ownership, bad environment. I'm praying for his sake of his health, like his mental health, that the Dolphins make a trade and go get him.
Yeah.
Can you imagine Bryce Young going there?
I can't. And I will agree with you. They are the worst organization in football. And it's really crazy because for years, I mean, it was like, I hate to say it, but there was a couple years that your Raiders were, at the bottom there, right? The Panthers are like a whole tier, I feel like, below anybody else. Like they trade away their best players. They don't put their quarterback in a situation to succeed. They have terrible offensive line. They have terrible defensive line. I'm going to mention this here in a minute. They have the worst pass rush in the NFL. Like, I don't even know what they're doing over there, man.
Well, you traded all right. You traded away for a chance of Caleb Williams. You traded away Christian McCaffrey. You traded away Brian Byrne. And guess what? You got nothing for it. You got a bunch of second and third rounders.
And your team still sucks. Yeah, you're the worst team.
All right. We're done with you, Panthers.
We're done. Yeah, so Deontay Johnson is the only guy. Yo, John in the chat. What up, John?
What up, John?
Yeah, man. I don't feel comfortable playing any of these guys. I think you're right. I think you get up to 5,300 and you just play Rashod Shaheed, who's at least probably $500 too cheap this week. All right. Now time for my favorite segment, defense, defense, defense. All right. I thought it was pretty good. Man, this week it's really easy for me, right? One of the worst looking quarterbacks through the first 2 weeks, not named Bryce Young, that's actually starting this week is Bo Nix, right? And week one, he kind of was like, maybe I got a little something. Week 2, it was like I got a lot of nothing, right? And shout out to Taylor in the chat. Taylor 100% called this. He said, "How do you draft a 27-year-old quarterback that was never any good in college in the first round?" And it's looking like a massive mistake for the Denver Broncos. So I'm going to take the easy out, dude. The Buccaneers are only 3,000 this week on DraftKings. To me, I think that's the easiest, no doubt about it, lock-in defense of the week. Tampa Bay. If you need to save a couple $100, I don't mind the Titans against my Packers. And the one that really – go ahead.
Can I add to the Bo Nix thing?
Yeah, please do. Please.
I just love how stupid he is. Like, if you're a professional quarterback in the NFL,
yeah,
you should have an IQ higher than an elementary kid when someone asks you a question.
Sure.
Like, oh, Bo Nix, do you want to go back and explain to us what happened on that interception?
Nope.
Yeah. I threw the ball and it went to the other guy, the other team. Yep. Like something like that.
No, it sounded like Bobby Boucher. Well, sometimes the quarterback hands the ball to another guy, and so I hit that guy instead. Like it sounded like Bo Nix was Bobby Boucher in that post game, dude. It was bad.
Like,
it's embarrassing.
If I owned the NFL team, I actually Wally World owns that NFL team. Can you imagine them like this mother is a quarterback? You know,
yeah.
I love the call. Obviously, always follow Tim's call. I'm not gonna lie though, I've kind of been on a little heater. My secondary calls to my defense, they've been hitting. So, all right. So, I talked about the Raiders. I know they're 3.7K, but I'm gonna do a stack with this is not my stack of the week, by the way. It is actually.
It is. Yeah, just go ahead.
Okay.
Going for two presents the stack of the week.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go with the Raiders defense at 3.7K with Zamir White, 5.5K. Obviously, people will be like, "Oh, that's pretty expensive, 3.7K." But if you're ready to do a correlation stack, that's pretty cheap. Yeah. Because you're saving money with Zamir White, and it's just to me, I'm expecting Wilkins and Matt Crosby just to get after Dalton, like kill him, like force fumble, man. I love the fact that Matt Crosby, he's one of the best leaders in the NFL. The guy is just phenomenal. I hope he wins Defensive Player of the Year one of these years. Yeah. I mean, I will give a shout out to Jason. When I told him, dude, Matt Crosby is a beast, he goes, "Oh, he's okay. He's not nothing special." Well, 3 years later, he's special, Jason. So screw you.
Special as fuck. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You guys got a hell of a guy in Max Crosby for sure.
Cleveland Browns. I had the Cleveland Browns defense too. But those are the three defense I like. I love your defense though.
Yeah, I think if you have to pay all the way down, I actually don't hate the Vikings defense at 2,400. I think if you can get up to the Bucks, that's the best play. But this week, I think it's very viable to punt defense if you absolutely have to. My stack of the week, probably not surprising, right? The Who Dat train continues. Derek Carr, Alvin Kamara, Rashid Shaheed, your lock of the week, and bringing it back with Devontae Smith. Now, time for Gerson's favorite part of the show, the sick call of the week. So real quick, before we get to the sick calls, I want to shout out that our guests, I'm almost glad we don't have a guest tonight so that we can get shown up again, because 2 weeks in a row, the best sick call has come from the guest, right? Week 1, it was Rashid Shaheed, and last week it was Yoshivas, who carried several people to cash who decided to play Yoshivas last week. So, Geoff, not able to be with us tonight, but he did put in his sit call of the week. In case you do want to play a Ram, he's going to go with preseason superstar Jordan Whittington at 4.2K. He did show us a little flash, but it was against, second and third stringers. So take that with a grain of salt. Mickey in the chat, he's got use check as his sit call.
I like it.
And I mentioned mine earlier. I'm going to go the opposite way and say that Andy Dalton actually makes the Carolina Panthers relevant in this game. And we get to see a little bit of Minshew mania, baby. Gardner Minshew at 5,300. Stack him, obviously, with Devontae Adams or Brock Bowers. And, bring it back with Deontay Johnson, right? I saw this Brock Bowers and Minshew mania. That stack is 10,700. Definitely one of the cheapest stacks you can make in all of DFS. So, Gerson, your sit call of the week.
Yeah, so early on I mentioned Caleb Williams. I'm still puking a little bit from it, but I think this is his get-right game. And obviously, they drafted two top 10 offensive weapons, right? The other offensive weapon was Roma Dunze. Roma Dunze has a good matchup. He's 4K.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen these wide receivers break out. Malik Neighbors, Marvin Harrison. The other guy that was supposed to be great is Roma Dunze. And honestly, I was worried for a second because I thought last week he wasn't even going to play.
Yeah.
He went out there and played. Is Keenan out? Well, Keenan Allen's out, right?
He's out. Yeah, he's out.
Yeah, so Keenan Allen being out, Roma Dunze at 4K. He's my sick call of the week this week.
I love that call. I was considering him as a value play. I also saw that you had Jalen Tolbert in one of your lineups, and he almost ended up being my sit call of the week this week, man.
Oh, I thought you were going to be your sit call of the week because you said, oh, yeah, I had Jalen Tolbert in my sit call. I'm like, all right, cool.
Yeah, no, I switched it out for Minshew. All right. Well, for Geoff, man, I appreciate you letting me host tonight. It's been a great time with everybody. I appreciate y'all getting in the chat with us tonight, just hanging out, talking about DFS on a Friday night. You can find me, as always, at Keto DFS on Twitter. Gerson, let the people know where they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me at Fantasy DFS on Twitter. You can find me on the DFS Roundtable Armchair show on Fridays. Guys, Geoff is sick, but I'm telling you right now, the guy wanted to come on this show. And he even said, do you guys want to host it? And round of applause for Tim. To be honest, he thought I was going to host it. I was like, nah, brother, you got this. I have a speech impairment. You're good.
I did. Yeah, I did find out really close to showtime I would be hosting tonight. But like I said, I'm happy to be with you guys. Happy to be here in the chat. So for Geoff, for Gerson, I'm Tim. See you next week. It is a late show next week.
Yep.
Go Pack, go.